Awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much for having us. So we'll kick off with our presentation, which is going to talk a bit about who we are, both as individuals and as a company. So Niall and myself, we work for Unity. We work in the game server hosting. We at the moment, Unity is the world leading platform for creating and operating interactive real-time 3D content. We work in game server hosting, which is managing large amounts of dynamically scalable game servers used by some big well-known games like Apex Legends and a few others. So my name is Josh, and we've also got Niall here. I'm a software engineer. Niall is a senior software engineer on the team. We're also both available on the SPIFFE Slack, so you can find us in there if you've got any questions or anything, or anything you want to ask at any point. So let's talk a little bit about our ecosystem. So at Unity, we've got somewhere in the region of tens of thousands of unique machines that we manage on a day-to-day basis. It's quite a large set. Each of those machines runs a bunch of different services. There's quite a few per machine. We do all sorts of different things with these services, and keeping track of them can get difficult at times. The machines can also be virtual or bare metal. They can be in the cloud. They can be in a physical data center somewhere. They can be Windows operating system or Linux, run by Kubernetes as a workload coordination, or not Kubernetes. There's a vast combination, a very diverse set of infrastructure that we take care of, and having our ecosystem being this diverse, it makes choices very, very difficult. We have to make sure that we're taking all of that into consideration. So what did we want from a security solution? And what the sort of things that we're looking for, because these are all things that are very important to how we run our business going forward. So we want to make sure that we're always going to be making the right choices, and that is especially important with something like picking a new security solution. So we wanted to make sure that we're taking the way we do security to the next level, and we wanted to use something that's got a proven track record. We don't want to use some brand new greenfield technology that no one's ever heard of. We want to make sure that it's got a proven track record. We wanted to make sure it's maintainable. So a big thing for us is we didn't want to have to dedicate an entire team to be able to run this new technology, right? We just don't have the resources to dedicate an entire team to that. So we wanted to make sure that it was something our existing teams could all pick up and maintain and operate without needing specialists that are going to be managing this. So crowdsourcing it across our existing engineers. We also wanted it to be something that's flexible. So whatever solution we picked, we needed to make sure that it was flexible in deployment and management, because like I mentioned, we've got a very diverse ecosystem and we run in a lot of different places. So whatever we pick has to be something that can match that. And finally, another really important bit for us was that we wanted it to be open source. We don't want a sealed security box that we have no idea what goes on inside of it. We wanted something that we can understand, and more importantly, that we can actually contribute back to. So having an open source solution was really key to us. So where are we at the moment with SPIRE? So we are running in production only partially at the moment. We're still working on complete rollout, but we are partially in production at the moment. We're carrying on our rollout to the remainder of our production machines. And as far as we're aware, we were the first production users of SPIRE in Windows. Pretty much from sort of as soon as it rolled out the door, we were ready to sort of give that a try on our Windows machines. Cool. And I hand over to Niall for from zero to production.
Lovely. Thank you, Josh. So yeah, I'm just going to go over sort of our journey now that we've got a bit of context on sort of where we stand internally as teams, as development teams. I'm just going to go over a little bit of how we've been using SPIFFE and SPIRE. So of course, the best place to start is always the documentation. We have a bunch of requirements, as Josh just mentioned, and SPIFFE and SPIRE were one of the things that we looked at. So we got straight into the documentation, and there are a few really good things that stood out to us as we've been developing and deploying SPIFFE and SPIRE. The concept section, had all the info really we needed to get going. It's helped us design everything that we have currently, and because it's so chock full of great information, it's also where we send our engineers when they want to know a bit more about the SPIFFE and SPIRE platform, want to know the fundamentals. So that's really good. The quick start as well. We could instigate some assessments of the projects really quickly, and I'm sure most of you will agree security isn't the easiest thing, and it's even more difficult to get right. So having some quick start code and things that we can run and sort of run with really helped us understand the concepts in a more practical way. And also the integration section. So we're not just running bits of our own code, we're running some other open source projects and things too internally, and guidance with Envoy and the OIDC integrations as well helped us integrate those. So after we've done a bit of our first few weeks of looking at SPIFFE and SPIRE and what it can do, we then came to the vital question, which is it the right choice for us? And there are, as Josh said, a lot of things we need to take into account, and there were a few things which I suppose slowed our adoption a little bit, and a few of them are really so. The first one, can it do everything we need it to? We spent quite a lot of time sort of playing around with the libraries and the components in just a sort of small self-contained project, just to sort of get a comprehensive grab of all of the features available. We feel that something like this that we could share with someone, with the community, would be really good. I think if something was there already, it would have, it would have made us choose SPIRE even quickly than we did. But it's something we're keen to talk about, afterwards with something we can improve there. Scaling as well. The guidance we had was great, but of course everyone's scaling needs are different, and the guidance here was understandably limited. So the points that were there were really great for us to sort of look in the right places. In terms of, are we heavily using, X509 SVIDs, JWT SVIDs, all those sorts of things were really good. So we could look at, like I say, look in the right places, but we didn't really know how much, CPU and memory we needed until we, installed agents on more machines and took a look at the metrics. And also, deployment topology and configuration, and I'll get onto this a little bit in a moment. But there are loads of different toggles, which is really good, as Josh was saying. We're looking for something really flexible, but at the same time, and we understand this is a really tricky balance. But knowing sometimes what the recommended approach might be, we obviously had to do a lot of investigation there to pick the right things. And like Josh said, we're making the right choices. So there was that too. But good news for everyone, SPIFFE and SPIRE are amazing. And we decided to push forward with it. So what did we do next to sort of get this closer to production? So fortunately, most of the time wasn't actually spent in SPIRE land at all. So we spent a good chunk of time setting up some new PKI, identity issuance processes, things like that, making sure we're in a really good state to integrate this into our already running production platform. And once that was all set up, it did take a little bit of time to get right. But once we deployed the server and the servers out and the agents out, that was really, really simple. So we could get a bunch of metrics from those. We can roll them out and upgrade them very, very easily. This is a bit more complicated on the machines outside of our control plane, as it were. So we spent a bit more time working on a mechanism to safely upgrade versions following the SPIRE version support policy, but that was it's kind of specific to how we manage the remainder of our machine farm. And of course, like Josh said, as soon as Windows support came out in 1.3, we jumped on that and gave that a go. Yeah, as soon as it was available. Yeah, as Josh mentioned, a portion of our farm is Windows, so obviously we want to roll this out everywhere. So Windows support is also very important to us. At the time, in 1.3, the support for SHA-256 based attestation wasn't there, so we decided to contribute it back, and it was a really great experience, and it's something we're keen to do going forward. Developing Windows on a Mac, notwithstanding, that was quite tricky, but hey. Yeah, so what else did we do? So going back to what Josh was saying before, we have a very diverse platform, running bare metal, cloud, running a load of different vendors. So the number of attestation options at our disposal was really good. It made us we had to weigh the options here as to what was going to work best for us from a security standpoint, but also an operations standpoint. So yeah, after weighing the options, we're looking for something that's secure, but is also predictable in our platform. So, as Josh was saying, security is just one facet of our product. We have a bunch of other stuff to do as well. We can afford a few domain experts here, but really the platform, as a whole, should be operable and diagnosable by any engineer in the team. So after a bunch of discussions internally, we settled on the X509 POP attestation for the most part, and we built a mechanism here to securely distribute and maintain identities for every machine on our farm, regardless of the provider. And what this really gives us is the security that we're looking for, but also the attestation and identity issuance mechanisms are the same for everything, which means that when someone else in our engineering team comes and looks at it, they don't have all of these different dials that they need to consider. A few things that we struggled with on our journey. So yes, I've already mentioned Windows support. Of course, as Augustine was mentioning, that's experimental. So we're expecting those sorts of things. So little hiccups there, of course, but we drove some parity here with Linux. We do still have to treat Windows a little differently. So for example, with service management, but this is something we've been in active conversation with the maintainers with, and we're keen to make this better for the community as a whole as well. And observability and alerting. So the SPIRE servers and the agents, they give us a wealth of information to have a sort of holistic view of how the platform as a whole is performing and functioning. But sometimes it's a bit difficult to see what's going on. So particularly around certificate rotation when we're introducing new routes or intermediates into the platform. And this is something we've spoken to, I think, as Andrew about before. That's just something maybe we could go about improving in future, as I think that's a little bit hand wavy, but yeah, we'll be keen to work together on improving this too. So I suppose finally, just to wrap up, yeah, as we say on the left, do it once, do it well. This is the kind of mantra we try to follow while doing this. Like I say, we're trying to maintain this with a small crew, but get all of the really nice security benefits that SPIRE gives us. So yeah, we have something which is production ready. We're running in production, running on Linux, Windows, Kubernetes, and we're looking at rolling this out to the remainder of our farm very, very soon. We have a unified identity platform, so we use one attestation mechanism and follow the good security hygiene around that. Like I mentioned, it's also very useful to have just one good solid way of doing it. We have a good data access pattern, so one method role-based access to configuration and secrets based on SPIFFE ID. We use JWT events here to sort of enforce that access. And that's been very useful, and it's something as we've been onboarding other engineers in the team, has been very useful for them to just understand the one way that we do things. Easy updates. So like I mentioned before, deploying the SPIRE server and agents is really, really simple. We found it really simple, and we can roll between versions of the agent with ease. and make sure that these versions align correctly with the security policy, the support policy. Yeah, we have a bunch of dashboards and things on those as well, which is really cool. Engineer support, yeah, mentioned it many times before, but we've been able to get more of our engineers onboarded with this. A bunch of our, quite a lot of our engineers actually internally are really, really keen to start picking this up. And as I mentioned, the documentation is brilliant there, and it's a really good place for our engineers to get started. And finally, of course, we couldn't have reached where we were without the support of the community. So I think that's all that's left to say is thank you very much. It's been really good. I'm going to say thank you to a few specific people. So Agustin, Marcos, Evan, Eli, and Andrew. We've worked with quite a lot. Thank you very much to you guys. Yeah, thank you to everyone as well, and thank you very much for coming today and spending some time with us.
Thank you so much for presenting. I see a lot of hearts and high fives everywhere, but any questions for the team?
I have one.
Absolutely.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for presenting. It was really great to see this. And I'm really happy to see you all kind of sharing your work here with the community. I have one for, oh, sorry, my daughter's here. I have one hopefully very easy question. Are you hiring?
That might be one for Peter. Is Peter about still? I think we've got some other Unity folks here.
Right now, probably not is the short answer. But we always are. We're a big org, we've got lots of things going on. Stay in contact, I guess, if you are interested, if people in this specific space. There's lots of interesting problems we're trying to solve. We're always looking for good developers, so don't be shy. Not that this is a rally or anything, but always happy to talk to competent people, right? And I'm sure this place is full of them. So yeah, thanks for your interest.
Evan, do you want to join?
No, but I suspect there may be others on the call who do.
Cool. I know we do have a question from Dave. Can you comment briefly on how you divided administrative responsibility amongst teams? Do you have many federated trust domains or a fewer centrally managed?
Yeah, sure, I can comment very briefly on that. So as we mentioned before, we wanted to try and keep this as simple as possible. So for the time being, we're working with just the one trust domain per environment. And the this is something we can explore going forward if the need arises. At the moment, the need doesn't arise. And I think from the administrative responsibility amongst teams, so this is something that's sort of evolving as we're developing this and exposing it to more of our sub teams. The access is pretty tight and restricted at the moment, but all of this is targeted through granting access through automation and such like. So restricting policies and things like that, access to secrets and identity issuance and things like that is. Sorry, Eli's distracting me. Always get distracted by chat. Yeah, I've kind of lost my train of thought now. But yeah. So the the administration is, like I say, is something that's evolving over time and is, we're trying to be as sort of developer hands-off as possible. These things controlled around automation and things like that. In terms of anything you can share about X509 secure bootstrapping, maybe, probably not today. We can talk about that on Slack. But I think the approach we've taken, not to like whet anyone's appetite or anything, but I think the process that we've taken might be quite interesting to the rest of the community. So that's something we can definitely get back to you on.
Yeah, really looking forward to learn more, whatever is possible to share. It's very interesting. I know some people use a keylime or trying to use a keylime with a TPM basically to do this kind of secure bootstrapping and use TPM to wrap the key. So interesting to learn about your experience as well.
It's worth actually mentioning that we did consider TPMs for our stuff, but being so diverse in there was so many of our, yeah, a good portion didn't even have the ability to do TPM. So we stayed well away from that. It's a very homebrew solution, but yeah, we can definitely talk a bit more about that at some point.
Cool, thank you. Any other questions? We are right on time. Otherwise,
One more question from here. Oh,
Maybe. This is super cool and exciting to see. You're not only the first public users of Windows in production, you're also pushing the bounds of SPIRE and gaming. Question is, in rolling out Windows, were there considerations into the thread model that you'd share as being different from the thread model of SPIRE and Kubernetes or SPIRE and Windows that you could share with the rest of us? Any controls or compensating mechanisms you consider setting up in Windows that you wouldn't on Linux, perhaps? Or InfoSec was happy, sure.
Yeah. So this is something we obviously speak, a lot with our dedicated security teams, and there's been nothing so far that they've been sort of interested in that regard. But this is something that we continuously talk to them about, and we apply these things as they crop up. So yeah, hopefully that's sufficient.
Good.
cool. I think with that, we have a break for about 15 minutes. We'll come back around 11:10-ish Pacific time. And then Eli will have Sergio from Twilio up next. So
yep. After a break.
perfect. I'll let you introduce the next speakers from there, Eli, then.
Sounds good.
Right. Thank you, everyone. See you in 15 minutes.
Yeah, I'll set everything up here.